Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I can still see there are some others that are joining. Very happy to have you this afternoon, and thank you for taking the time to join us. You will have received the information around what this webinar is related to, what to expect from this webinar. Really, it's here for you as offer holders, those that will soon be joining us. We want to make sure you are as comfortable as possible with what to expect from your role, what to expect from EY, really to clear up any confusion you might have, and to really just make your transition into EY as comfortable as possible. My name is Aidan O'Connor. I lead on the consulting portfolio for the student recruitment team, so it's possible I have connected with many of you up to this point. Today, I'm joined by some of my colleagues who have been in your positions not too long ago. Also from our fantastic keynote, David Sellick, who will give you an idea of his transition, what consulting looks like at EY, and really how to make the best of it with your role when you do join us. So thank you again for joining us. It's really our pleasure to have you here today. Before we properly kick off, I wanted to just congratulate you once again with over 10,000 graduate and apprenticeship applications, and no, that is not a mistype. You are among the 2% of applicants to receive an offer, so you should give yourself a physical or virtual pat on the back, because this is really quite an achievement for you, so well done. And from there, I'm very happy to kick off and have David join us for the partner keynote. David, over to you.
Thank you, Aidan. First of all, apologies for the slightly dated photo. That is taken from a while back. I had hair at that point. I don't have so much right now. So I'm David Sellick. I'm a partner here. I lead our financial services consulting business. I'm joined, as Aidan said, by a number of colleagues who are all ready to take questions as we go through. I'm just going to echo what Aidan said. I mean, first of all, a fantastic well done for getting an offer. As Aidan pointed out, over 10,000 applicants. Every single one of those applicants is smart, driven, and highly motivated to build a career. So getting an offer is a sensational achievement. So well done. The purpose of today, as Aidan said, is really to talk to you about what you can expect upon joining, but it's a session that's designed for you. So please do ask us questions. I'm going to say a few things to start off, but if you have questions, please load them in the chat. Aidan will then take it and moderate this and point them at all of us so that we can answer them as we go through. Nothing's off bounds, so please ask us anything you would like to. Before I go forward, though, let me just say a few words. And as Aidan pointed out, there are several people on this call today that kind of are maybe a year or two ahead of you in terms of joining our business. I'm about 20. So I did join the business as a graduate 20 years ago. So I've been in exactly the position that you are now. So I thought I might share just a few things about how my career has developed at EY, so you can get an impression of how that will go, and then share some thoughts about kind of what we would expect of you and what you can expect of us. So for me, I joined 20 years ago. I was part of the first group of 24 graduates that joined our business back when we were rebuilding consulting about 25 years ago, and then we rebuilt the business. Of those 24 people, 6 of us are still here. 20 years later, 5 of us as partners in senior leadership roles across the business. For those that aren't here, they've actually used us as a great springboard. So they came, they learned, they then moved on. They're people in senior executive positions. There are old colleagues of mine that have moved out into the US and are senior roles in private equity, others that have moved out into Asia Pacific. So all of us got a great experience and then have either used that to stay within the firm and build a career, or have moved on to do other great things, which is equally brilliant. And we're delighted for them to do so. In terms of my story, I joined. I got a real career acceleration when I happened to be working right in the midst of the financial crisis, and I was in the room with the CFO when it got announced that they were acquiring. That meant that I then spent my next 3 years working on a massive integration, the biggest banking integration in Europe that had ever happened at that point in time. It gave me a huge acceleration. I was fortunate enough after 8.5 years in the business to be asked to become a partner. And since I became a partner, I've done various things. I've led parts of our European business, our business consulting practice. I've been head of markets, head of people here in the UK. And 12 months ago, I was asked to head up our financial services consulting business, which is a little bit of a surreal experience, being asked to lead the part of the business that you actually joined 20 years previously. So really, for me, I've had this wonderfully fantastic experience and really so many learning opportunities over that point in time. And it's the reason why I'm really, really passionate about when you all join us, that you get that same outstanding experience. You'll also get the same from my counterpart on the non-FS side is a lady called Saya Gambari. Saya also joined us, not quite as a grad. I think she was a senior consultant, but 18 years ago. So you've got two people with a long history with the firm that have developed their own careers here. So just the last couple of things before we maybe move to questions. Kind of, what do I think you can expect of us, and then what do I think we should maybe expect of you when you join us? So I think in terms of our expectations, or your expectations of us, I think number one, we should give you the most fantastic opportunities to work on the issues that are the heart of the things that your clients face in the industries that you choose to work in, working with them on the biggest banking integration in the whole of Europe. That, for me, if you're sitting and you're advising clients on those seminal issues in the market, that's when you learn most and most rapidly. So you can expect from us to work on things that are right at the heart of the industry. And the second for me is learning. You're going to get a lot of opportunities to learn here. Some of them are structured, so things we'll do around induction, around core consulting skills, for example. Several of them are unstructured. I mean, there is almost an infinite number of courses that you can do while you are here that you can learn about a myriad of different topics. You're going to get an opportunity to learn by doing as well. So back onto those really big engagements, you're going to work with partners that are at the forefront of their industry. So a great example would be, at the moment, I'm running a project for a client which is all about how they adopt digital assets and distributed ledger technology right across the entirety of their business to transform how they serve customers. You're going to get to work with partners that really understand these topics and learn from them. Finally, I think you're going to get an opportunity when you join a business that's got 400,000 people and that has a presence in pretty much every market that I could name globally. The opportunities are kind of endless. So many of my clients, my colleagues rather, have gone on to work in different countries. They've worked in international assignments that span borders. Some of them have relocated as well, gone to work in the US and in Asia, for example. So there's many different opportunities that aren't really bounded. In terms of what we would expect of you, I mean, Aidan made the point at the start that we get all of these, the applicants. Everybody is driven and smart. What we can't teach you is attitude. So I think that the ability to leverage the opportunity that we put in front of you and to throw yourself into everything with full throttle is something that we really expect of everybody coming here. And I'm sure some of my colleagues will talk to you about that as well. The second for me would be kind of building relationships. Ultimately, you need to build relationships with your colleagues and with your clients. Clients buy from people that they trust, and colleagues work with people that they trust and like as well. So it's a big expectation to kind of get to know each other and build those working relationships. The last is developing your skills. Now, we'll help you with this. You know, you're coming here as very well qualified people, but we need to make sure you've got the right technical skills to be able to advise your clients in the ways that you want to be able to do. So you'll get that training from us, but again, the attitude and the way in which you throw yourself at those learning opportunities are enormously important. So I'm going to bring it to a close and just say, you know, I've been fortunate enough to have the most fantastic experience here over 20 years. I've been right where you are. It's been wonderful for me. I'm super passionate about giving you the same level of opportunity and experiences as I've had the benefit of over the last 20 years. And I really look forward to welcoming you all in the autumn. With that, Aidan, I'll hand back to you.
Okay, David, fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And everyone, as David mentioned, we are happy to take your questions. Really, we are here for you. So we want you to get the most from this. We want you to really ensure you're joining with full open eyes and a full understanding of what EY has for you and really how to make the most of your career. So please don't be shy about putting some questions in. We're happy to get to them and happy to make sure you're as comfortable as possible. Again, as David mentioned, we have a group with us, our panelists, who are happy to share their experiences and take your questions. And with this, I'm happy to kick off and ask them to join me and give a sense about themselves, how they started, what they do now within the firm. And first, I'd like to ask Sahil to join and to give a sense of his background and where he is now.
Thanks, Aidan, and yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining today's call. It's really great to be here and to be able to spend some time answering your questions. My name's Sahil. I joined EY 2 years ago on the graduate scheme within people consulting. So that's the part of the business that's focused on the workforce of organizations, and we work with various parts of the business, not only in consulting, but in other kind of areas as well, to make sure we drive the right changes and transformation. So specifically within people consulting, I work in something called workforce advisory, and that is around business change, transformations where we're implementing new technologies. And so it's been a really great experience. But the fantastic part about the graduate program is that I've had the opportunity to work across various different sectors and different parts of people consulting, and that gives you a bit of a flavour of kind of what we do and how we do it. Prior to joining consulting, I was actually a doctor, so I did medical school for 6 years. I practiced for 3.5 years now before making the decision to switch, and I can safely say that I haven't looked back. It's been a really great experience, really varied. Just 2 weeks ago, I was in Copenhagen working with, and then this week I'm back here working with them. So a small flavour there of what I've been up to, and I look forward to talking a bit more about that in a bit. Back to you, Aidan.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Sahil. Jennifer, happy to have you go next.
Thank you so much, Aidan, and thank you all for having me. Congratulations for receiving an offer. In terms of myself, I joined the tech consulting practice in September 2023, so it's nearing up to 2 years now. I'm specifically within the platforms team, so the main part of our role is to help clients undergo implementation of different, and I'm currently been on a project since October 2023, so it's a very long-term implementation that the client's going through. In terms of they're currently doing a lot of things manually through Excel, and we're helping them standardize that and get that rolling out across the business. So that's been really, really great to learn about that and work with the team to support the client on that. In terms of my background, I come from like a biological sciences genomics background. So it's very different to what I'm doing now in tech consulting. But as David touched upon, there's been a really, really great training that I was part of when I joined. And the team's been really great to kind of help upskill me and get stuck into things. So, but yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Samia, happy to have you join us next.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Samiha, and again, a huge congratulations to all of you here today. I joined again around 1 year ago as a technology degree apprentice, working in tech consulting, specifically the digital engineering team at the London Bridge office, working within UK&I. I'm studying towards a digital technology solutions degree and working within the AI space with a high-end retail client currently. I hope you're all excited about joining EY. I surely have loved my job since joining, from meeting new people, working with clients, and enjoying all the extracurricular things that EY offer. And so I hope I can share my experience with you all today and give you a better taste of what EY is all about.
Perfect, thank you. Last but certainly not least, Mr. Alex Marks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, hi, I'm Alex. I am on first year of the graduate scheme, so I started in September, just gone. I'm in the CFOC team, which is the Chief Financial Office consulting team, and we, as the name suggests, help out with any problems that the CFO within clients have. So yeah, at the moment working on financial implementation, but we also help out with certain risk projects, and yeah, I'm here to take any of your questions.
Great, fantastic, everyone. Thank you so much for those quick introductions. I can see the questions are starting to come through now, so that's great. Thank you, everyone. Please don't be shy at all. First question, Alex, while I have you in the hot seat, and given that you have the most recent experience here, how has student life to let's say, working life, proper career life? How has that transition been, and has the food improved at all?
Yeah, the food has improved, not by my standards. Like, I can't really cook that well, so I enjoy the food at UI for sure. Yeah, I'd say it's quite that enjoyable. I've seen it as a natural progression. I think that the skills that you kind of gain going through university and going through school easily kind of lead into being part of EY. So if you're personable, you're open, you then get to, I don't know, you constantly meet people and you learn, as we've all touched on. And I think mainly my main kind of enjoyment of it has been obviously learning, but then also just not having that kind of budgeting that you have to go through in university. It's nice that you're in the same kind of, you're with a cohort, you're in about 50, 60 of me. We still talk, we meet, we work together. And I think you build that connection that hopefully will last you throughout your whole career. And I think I currently am, and hope that I will enjoy it throughout my time at EY.
Fantastic. And I think a question that's very appropriate for you, given that you are within the business consulting space, has just come through. Amy's asking, is there anything that Amy or anyone else joining business consulting or just joining generally can do in the summertime to best prepare for their graduate role coming up?
I think I always try to stay connected to what's going on in the world, the economy or anywhere else, because as we've all mentioned, we're going to be on projects that are at the center of clients and what they want to do. So if you can stay up to date by reading maybe Financial Times, Economist, any kind of news that comes through, you're going to be best placed to then use what you're learning to help your clients and give you maybe different insights. So that would be my number one piece of advice, really.
Okay, great. And you must be reading my mind, because it transitions well to the next question. The name is not attached, but David, this is for you. And I think it's a doozy, but I think it's important to address it. So about how EY are responding to recent global challenges that could cause some uncertainty, new UK government, Trump tariffs, et cetera. What's our overall approach or approach within the UK?
What's interesting is our business, particularly in consulting, tends to thrive when there are points of dislocation, right? So clients, the number of client calls we've had after Trump has imposed tariffs, in terms of what that means around supply chain, in terms of what that might mean about future trajectory of regulation, about economic growth, about how our clients plan for their businesses, impacts on their strategy, has been huge. Right, so actually, what does it really mean for us? It means we spend more time with clients, talking and advising them about their business. It doesn't make me feel in any way nervous about our business. Actually, as I said, we thrive at the points of times when clients need high-end advice, and this is an exact time of that. So Aidan, I don't really have a worry about it at all at the moment. I see it as an opportunity for us to do what we get paid for, which is to help advise clients on how they address matters such as this. Fantastic.
That's certainly a great outlook. And I think, to probably address those client needs, those unmet needs, or those needs in terms of in times of uncertainty, you need the right skills. And I think this next question from Stella is quite a good one. And Sahil, I'll pass to you for this one. And it's around upskilling. So what type of upskilling happens through the job, through certifications, and how you go about really just making sure you're keeping this muscle trained and top of mind.
Yeah, I think great question. I think upskilling and making sure that your ability stays relevant to the needs of the market is a really important part of consulting. We work in a very dynamic and changing environment, and so you need to be prepared and looking forward to make sure that you've got what it takes to serve our clients the best, because it's a competitive market out there, and if we can't provide as EY, then there's lots of other offers on the table, and EY is doing an incredible amount to make sure that its people are prepared and ready to meet that challenge. And I think David mentioned this in terms of you've got both structured learning, unstructured learning, and then learning on the job. And I would say predominantly learning on the job is the best way I've upskilled. It's by speaking to clients, understanding their problems, working out how am I going to solve that, what's my approach. That's helped me the most. And then you use that structured and unstructured kind of training that's available to then supplement that. I mean, I'm sure everyone will be aware of the big changes in AI that's happening at the moment, and EY is fueling, so much investment into that space because it is really the future. And I've really benefited from that, from just, having our own AI platform that I use basically on a daily basis to support my kind of consulting skills and solving problems, to Copilot and all the other wonderful tools out there. But that's just a very small part of all the learning that you'll do, depending on which part of the business you sit in.
Fantastic. And Sahil, if you were to boil that down to, say, your top three skills that are most beneficial for you, say within your role or within EY, could you list those? Doesn't necessarily need to be in order, but do those come to mind of those that are most beneficial for you and you sort of lean on most often?
Yeah, definitely. I think number one is your communication and your kind of relationship management. We work in a service industry and we are people, particularly people consulting. So we need to be able to communicate in the right way, understand people's problems, and work out the best way to kind of position the solution. It's not just about the solution, but it's about delivering it in the right way so the clients are ready to accept that and realize that we are there to help them and not just kind of provide a service and then walk away. I think then off the back of that is kind of problem solving and analytics. It can be quite a fast-paced industry, and for the new graduates coming in, you might be kind of go through ebb and flows of busyness. And when it is really busy, you have to be able to kind of prioritize, what do I need to do best? What do I need to kind of maybe deprioritize and move to like next week, for example? And so that kind of problem solving is really key. I think the last thing will then be specific to your kind of area within the business, and that's like kind of technical skills. So I work in change management, particularly right now I'm leading on like a big training initiative. So understanding, okay, what does training look like? How do I design a training strategy? And this kind of might sound really foreign to some of you. It's not something that I would have done prior to joining this role, but that's where EY steps in with a wealth of experience, being able to ask the right questions, and then going into that kind of library of training and understanding to support that development.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for this. Jennifer, next I'll jump to you around pre-joining and now within the business. Any sort of preconceived ideas or notions of EY that you had coming in, and how have then these notions, have they been confirmed or contradicted since you have a couple of years now in the business?
Yeah, great question. Thanks. Yeah, I think did have a lot of worry coming in before, especially as I mentioned, I came from like a more scientific background. And so coming in, I was a bit worried about how kind of my skills and my experience would translate into the role that I have now. But yeah, it was all sort of kind of like in the air in terms of there was a really good training scheme coming in. We had kind of the core consulting sort of training agenda where we covered a lot of presentation, the transferable skills that are involved in a day-to-day of a consultant, which was really, really lovely. Being able to kind of do that group exercises with fellow consultants was really, really helpful and helped ease that sort of worry before coming in. And then the second thing is sort of those technical and the financial skills that you kind of learn as well. As I touched upon, there are so many training courses available that EY provides. For example, they do EY badges where they cover a lot of different topics. And so being able to invest time in that has been really helpful in terms of applying that to my client role day to day. So those are a couple of things that it was really kind of a great surprise coming in. And I guess the final thing I'd like to touch on is there is more to your role outside of just being with the client and being with your client teams. You have those community and networks around you. There is so many sort of groups that you can get involved with. So for example, I'm a part of the South Asian community alongside Sahil, and this has been a really, really great way to kind of network with people outside of the business, outside of tech consulting, and connect with people from all walks of life. And there's also so many volunteering opportunities as well. So I guess in terms of my overall summary is the journey is what you make of it, is really shaped by the people you speak to and the opportunities that you seize. And so nothing is fixed. It's really kind of a dynamic day-to-day enjoyable job. So yeah, that's
Great, fantastic. And then actually, another question came through around extracurricular activities, sort of outside your role. So thank you for touching on that. And Samia, maybe I'll ask you to also touch on the network that you're a part of, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. So I'm mainly part of the EY Foundation. So this is, again, a network that EY offer. Anybody can kind of join and take part. And it's something I'm passionate about, helping kids, students from year 7 all the way to year 13 come in, and they do all sorts of different programs with us. And so really, like Jennifer said, it is what you make of it. So whatever you're passionate about, so me specifically, helping students, you get that opportunity. There's panel events, there's mock interviews, there's loads of different things you can help them with, and you can inspire them. And that community for me has been really nice. So again, I've made loads of friends within that community, but also when you help out loads of different students, a year later they message and say, I got an offer from UI, or I got an offer here to study here. So that specifically I didn't expect when I joined UI. I thought it was just going to be about consulting and just about work, but it has opened up another different avenue for me. So it's been really nice. So that community, and then there's also a few sports communities as well, but they're quite nice and standard, competitive, competing against the big 4. So it's all really fun.
Great. I'm part of the basketball community myself, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And I won't let you go quite yet, because we do have a couple of questions around the degree apprenticeship and your experience. So one question from an anonymous source is around your induction into your degree apprenticeship, how that went, how it was getting up to speed, and then another just around sort of any struggles that you had sort of first joining, anything you had to overcome specifically.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So I do remember it was a bit daunting at first. You do feel quite, like a small fish in a big ocean. Coming from sixth form, where you're the oldest, you're in your comfort zone. To obviously go into a global organization with loads and loads of people is a very big shift. But the thing that you figure is actually most people feel the same way. Whether they've come from university, everyone is still in this new environment. And so you quickly find that everyone's feeling the same way, and that in itself, you find support within the team. You also, as an apprentice, join within the graduate cohort, so you're not on your own, 10 of you in a corner. You are part of this big cohort, and you're all addressed the same way, you all do the same training, and so you never really feel the divide at all. So just to touch on, the tech training that we did was around 8 weeks long. They just kind of upskill you, all sorts of different things, in person, online, coding courses, articles you had to read, different teamwork kind of hackathons we did. So you do a very big range of training, and you do them with the team, and the teams change every week, and you work with different people. So that also helped, meeting new people, seeing who you click with. And so during all these training opportunities, there were loads of times to meet people. Everybody goes out for dinner after. So that really helped, feel a bit more comfortable and open up and feel like you have a bit of a support network. You also, from the first day you join, you get a buddy who's a year ahead of you. And so they will come to you in the morning, and they might, find you in the office, take you around, help you network with other people, just kind of help you settle in, show you where the lockers are, the toilets, just things like that, which, you always need to help yourself feel more comfortable. So the buddies really do help. And I have a buddy this year. So it's been nice to kind of see both sides of it. But overall, the people at UI are just really, really nice. You get along with everyone. And I've made already lifelong friends here, so it is really, really nice.
And you said this year you are acting as a buddy?
Yeah, so I have a degree apprentice who joined in 2024. So again, he came from school, and it's quite nice because obviously he's just done his A-levels, and so we can relate to things. If he was interested in the EY Foundation as well, so I took him along to a few events with me. Anything that I hear, that sounds quite interesting, I'll forward on to him. So it's just, a very what the relationship is, whatever you make of it, you know. If you just want someone to sit down and talk to, that's what I'm there for. If he comes to the office and he's just wants to sit next to someone familiar, then we book desks together. So yeah, it is quite nice.
Great. I love that full circle moment for you. And David, again, I'll come to you. There's a nice question here around. First, I'll ask this question that came through from an anonymous source, but also I'd like you to touch on a question that we've already gone over with Sahil around skills. So first, I'll get to this question, and then I'll touch on the skills question. So the question is, what is the current trend in the types of businesses seeking consulting? So have technology businesses been bringing new problems or challenges that require different solutions to other more traditional business areas such as finance or banking?
There's a lot to that question. I don't know whether it's kind of are we advising technology companies, or are the needs of our financial services clients altering as the impact of technology plays out? I mean, I can answer it both ways. I think when I look at my clients, so typically we serve, I would say more often than not, the largest, most iconic brands in the financial services marketplace. So think about, but then we're also playing and applying our services down through into kind of small fintech organizations as well as they scale and grow. Big trend for private equity to come and invest in our sector as well. But then as it pertains to the question of technology, all of our clients are digitizing at an incredible pace. So actually what you're seeing is, you know, the likes of, I mean, there's players such as, I know one of the team were talking about, you know, you work with to implement their solutions into big institutions. We have a massive alliance partnership with, my client does loads of work with, all of them are applying kind of advanced technologies to really revolutionize and digitize their businesses. And that, to be honest, is a big part of what we advise clients on. I can't really walk past this without talking about, you know, AI is the latest thing. I think, you know, some of the team have already talked about it as well. We are advising clients on how you can best adopt AI to kind of to enable the productivity of your workforce, to better serve customers. How do I get my underlying data to work in the context of then advising clients, and then doing all of that in a safe way? So I would say it's kind of, we're advising tech companies, we're partnering with tech companies to advise on how leading blue chip clients adopt the technologies that they've got available to help them revolutionize the services to their customers. So it probably then plays a little bit back into the skills that we need to have. You know, we need to understand what are the latest developments in technology and how can they be applied into the industries in which we work. So I hope that answered the question. Don't know if it did. But...
Definitely, thank you. And then as it relates to skills, and you can talk personally here, what do you see the skills someone joining that would equal success, or what you would like to see from someone first joining their graduate or apprenticeship role, and how you'd like to see them sort of develop those skills or refine those skills?
It's so there's some parts of this that I think have generic applicability across, it doesn't matter which part of the business you join, right? So kind of what I'll describe as kind of some of the core skills that underpin what we do. Analytics, right? The ability to be able to look at data sets and infer from those data sets and advise your clients on what kind of trends they're suggesting exist, and then being able to advise on those outcomes. So data analytics and kind of analytical mindset, I would say, is one. Second is then kind of like structured report writing. You know, you've all done this at school and university. You know, ultimately a lot of what we end up doing is advising clients, and you've got to put it into a format which is consumable. Be that by a board, a group exec committee, you know, whoever it is you're working into. So that ability to impart really quite complicated technical ideas, but into a simple and consumable and actionable form. I think that's a big thing. The other one I'm going to say that spans everything is listening, right? There's this sort of, we are consultants. So actually our job is to listen to our clients, to understand what their challenges or opportunities are, and then be able to provide our thoughts, guidance and advice in the context of what they are. So actually effective listening to clients is enormously important. So those are sort of some of the core building blocks. Then I think there's things that are very specific to people's roles. Right, so I don't think you could do the jobs that the team here do. Alex needs to understand kind of financial systems technology in order to be able to advise CFOs on the adoption of maybe the implementation of an Oracle ERP system, for example. We might need to understand the intricacies of the solution as that applies into our clients' businesses, but those are the things that are very specific to the individual parts of the businesses you're joining. So best way of thinking about it is there's a whole series of skills that span everything, and then there's the bits that you need your deep technical specialism in, which will help with. Well, we'll help with both of them, to be honest, but certainly the second.
Okay, a lot of great takeaways there. Thank you, David. Next, Jennifer, coming back to you, I'm going to bring 3 questions into one. They're all related to sort of work-life balance, hybrid working, and how you make that work. So can you give us a sense of your current hybrid working, what that looks like to you, how that plays into work-life balance, and then sort of if you can sort of intersperse how that works with client sites and then working with clients directly.
Yeah, thanks, Aidan. Yeah, so great question. I think before I start, I wanted to say that it is definitely different depending on the client project that you're on and what sort of engagements that you're a part of. So I'll speak about my experience so far, but it definitely does differ depending on the project you're on and the requirements of the client. So as I mentioned, I've been on this project since October 2023, so it's quite a long-term one. And in terms of that, it's quite very flexible. So I tend to come into the office maybe once or twice a week. And we tend to have anchor days on Thursdays where we meet the team in person in the London Bridge office, and we have sort of like weekly connects to see how we're all progressing, etc. And then other times I come to the office for general events that happen either within my client teams or outside of my team. So we have capability strategy days, etc., etc. So yeah, different reasons to come into the office. But yes, I usually do that. In terms of the clients, so I'm working with a utilities client, so they have a UK site and they also have a US site. Depending on the phase of the project that we're on, where it depends on how often we need to go to the client side. So often the case we don't need to, because they're the sites in Warwick and in the US as well. But when it comes to more of the testing phase, where the users end up testing the solution and actually like getting their hands onto the system, we tend to spend a lot of time in person with the client, which has been really, really valuable. So I've been fortunate enough to be able to visit the US site and be with the testers, and that's been really, really rewarding to see, sort of seeing the solution being designed and built and then seeing them actually use it. It's been really lovely to see that whole journey. But yeah, to sum it up, it really does vary depending on where your clients are, what your team demands are as well. So in general, it's important to be flexible, and yeah, that's generally how it's been for me.
Okay, great insights. Thank you. Next, Alex, coming to you. I know you've mentioned before one of your favorite things about your role is going into the office, the Canary Wharf office where you're based. Amy has a question around what is it like to work in this office? What is it like to visit Canary Wharf when you are in?
So I do probably 3 or 4 days a week in office, be that client site or Canary Wharf, and I much prefer our office to my client's office. I think it's such a communal space. At all of the desks, we have a very flexible working. So some days you'll be booking your desk, other days you'll work within your team and you'll turn up to your area, and you can sit next to a variety of people, be that partners or grads, and it really depends. So it builds a really good communal working, and I thrive off that. I could probably speak for a few other people as well. I think that in Canary Wharf, it's becoming such a place to be. They're putting a lot of investment into it, and I know that there was this like old adage of, oh, there's nothing in Canary Wharf. That I would say, having moved into it and it being the only place that I've really worked, that there is a kind of community there. You have people coming there on weekends, after work, and although it may be a bit out of the way compared to the city, if you're coming in from the west, it still is. There's still a lot of stuff to do. You can go out for drinks after work. You can do socials there. There's everything. So Canary Wharf on its own, lovely, and the EY office, there's always stuff going on. Be that learning. I don't think I've had a day a week, sorry, that there's been no learning sent out by various people within different departments. So you'll always be able to learn. And if you're in the office, you get to meet those people face to face. And I know I'm at home at the moment, but coming on to hybrid working, flexible working, I came back from holiday yesterday, which is why normally I'm 3 to 4 days in the office, and again, you just get to meet so many people, maybe even see David walking around as well.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. Sahil, coming to you next. A great question here from Jordan around what has been a standout day or moment or key learning that you've had so far?
Thanks, Aidan. Thanks for the really great question. I saw that one pop up and I've been thinking about it in the background, so I'm glad I get to answer this one. I've had quite a few standout days. It's been a really fantastic experience. Like a couple of weeks ago in Copenhagen, definitely one of them. With UNICEF, I think I've had a couple of internal events that I've helped to organise, which are also really fantastic opportunities. I led on the induction week for people consulting last year, which was amazing to be able to guide our new graduates into their kind of first few weeks with the business. But my standout day was I was kind of the event manager or lead for my engagement with one of our infrastructure companies that we work with, and we do a leadership academy with them. And as part of that, we had a graduation ceremony for roughly about 100 graduates from this academy who came through. And initially going into it, the whole kind of project, I wasn't so sure what to expect. And then I realized that some of these individuals, they're working day and night on our motorways and our A roads. Some of them, have left school at 16 and then they've gone on to do their various engineering qualifications. They've never really had an opportunity to have a graduation. They've worked their way up to managerial roles, and now they're doing quite significant project planning but had no training in it. And our kind of key problem that we had to solve was coming in to provide these individuals with that training so that they could kind of really elevate their ability to kind of map out and protect our highways and keep the country running, essentially. And so we held this fantastic graduation ceremony. I was kind of the lead organizer for it. We had the national highway, the kind of highways chief executives turn up to kind of support us with that event. So it was an amazing experience to be able to put that all together. We had senior leadership from EY there as well, and then being only over a year into my experience to be able to kind of lead on that, run that, and then get the feedback was just incredible. And I think it speaks to kind of the opportunities you get at EY, and I think it's outside of maybe other roles and organizations. The company really puts a lot of confidence and faith in you if you want to take on those roles. And I would say that being proactive and rising to that challenge will only serve you well, because you have this whole safety net and wealth of experience around you to protect you in case something goes wrong. But everyone's there to kind of lift you up and be the best you can be. And I think that's been one of the standout things about EY, that positive collaborative environment. And so I'll always hold that experience dear, and that whole team is very, very important to me. We still stay in touch. We meet up pretty much every 3 months, and we still kind of reminisce about the project and how amazing it was. And I think that speaks to kind of my experience over the last 2 years.
Great, and maybe you did this on purpose, but you've teed yourself up for the next question around the actual induction week itself. So given that you did lead on that, can you give a sense of what your role was there, and why it was so important to really nail that for those that were joining?
Yeah, so I think from my understanding and perspective, there's been an incredible amount of work that's gone into the induction experience for our new joiners, and it's a really key area of focus for the business. We want to provide our new joiners with the best kind of grounding and foundations possible, so that when you then go out to meet your teams and clients and be active on engagements, you feel prepared and comfortable with the environment. And this may change, but the last year's experience was you kind of do 2 weeks of general consulting kind of induction and core consulting skills. So that's with everyone from people consulting, tech consulting, business consulting, and I believe also risk consulting as well, all involved. And then you'll then move off into your various kind of sub-service lines. So we had a whole week of people consulting activities, which was kind of a simulation-based activity, as well as talks from partners and managers and panel kind of Q&A sessions. There was then a in-sector week where you kind of had a different day with kind of 1 week with government and 1 week with energy and infrastructure and so on. And then you do some shadowing, and then eventually you get put onto a project, and kind of it's a very gradual process. And through that time, you can find out about qualifications and additional learning and all that kind of stuff as well.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. Next, asking Samia to join once again. There's a question specific for you around your apprenticeship. How do you balance your role and then the university learning and experience?
Sure, thank you, Aidan. So again, things do change every year, but the way university will work is you do around 4 to 5 modules online a year, with 1 module being in person, and you tackle 2 modules at a time, and they'll be around 2 months long. So for example, you'll have a 10-week stretch, let's say January, February, where you'll be going to university 1 day a week. So it most likely will be online. So you'll have a lecture 10 till 12, and then you'd have another lecture 2 till 4, and then the rest of the day to prep for reading assignments, pre-reading materials for the next lessons, things like that. And so you'll do that over those 2 months, and then you'll submit a formative and a summative, which gets graded, and then you might have 1 month break where you go back to working 5 days a week, and then you might start again the next module in April for another 2 months. So it really does vary, and then you might have a 1 week where you have to take the whole week off. You go to university, you do your whole module that week, and then you have the whole month off. So it does really vary. And so the main thing in terms of how to manage, the studying and the working is to let your team know your availability. So once you join a project, the first, they'll know you're an apprentice. And so the first thing you talk about is your team availability. So for example, the project I'm just joining now, I don't have university for the next month, and so I'll be working 5 days a week. But then starting in August, I'll be going back to 4 days a week. So it is just about letting your team know. And like I said, they're very accommodating. You just let them know, okay, I've got a deadline due, so I can't do this, or I've got a uni lecture today, so I won't be at client site. It's just about letting people know. And then they're always happy to work around you. So my previous project, because my university day was every Tuesday, and our kind of like client collaboration session was every Tuesday, they just moved it so it worked, so I could go to university and the session. So again, people do make changes for you, because again, your education is just as important as your work. And then I think the second part of your question was about managing my time. So again, I look in advance when my university deadlines are. So for example, I know I have one at the end of May, but then I was on holiday all of April. So I was like, right, let me do my uni assignment while I had time. So I did it, 8 weeks in advance. And so it just means if you have a client deadline coming up and a university deadline coming up, you're not like overly stressing, you're not got like too many things to do, too many responsibilities. So it's just about looking in advance of your deadlines, and working like that. And then in addition to, you'll have your standard annual leave days. As an apprentice, you also get university days off. And so these are 20 additional study days each year that you use to work towards your degree, to complete assignments. And so what you could potentially do is, let's say you have an assignment due on Friday, you could take 2 study days off, Thursday and Wednesday, to complete your assignment. You just let your team know in advance, and that comes out of your university study day allowance, not your annual leave. And then you also have a university coach to kind of help you through the process. You have your counselor and your university coach kind of collaborate together. Every month you have a call together to discuss your progress, how you're getting on with uni work and client work. So it is very easy and manageable. There's always people there for you. You also have your other apprentices who will be in the exact same position. So it's just about, A, being on top of it, but if you've done your A-levels, you'll most likely know how to be on top of work. And B is just, communicate with your team, be open and say, I won't be able to get this done, or I won't be able to take this on, or I'm going to have to go to university this day. So it's just about being honest and open. And they're very, very understandable. I've never had someone say that, you can't doing this project because you're going to university, or you can't do this because you're at uni 1 day a week. So just about being open and communicating that with your team.
Out of this, I'm sure you've just naturally become an expert at prioritization and time management. It's a bit of a trial by fire, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Being able to prioritize is obviously very important, but again, also organized. I love my to-do list. So end of the day, everything needs to be ticked off, and that's honestly what's helped.
Great. And hot off the press, another question for you. Can you still, as a degree apprentice, can you still use lecturers' office hours and join university societies?
So you can join university societies. However, I prefer the EY ones. I do just enjoy them because the way university works is a little bit different. So you have your EY class, and so that would just be all the apprentices in FS and UK and I studying together. So if you join sports teams, it's kind of within the university, which is quite small, in comparison to if you join the EY ones. They have netball, basketball, football, every sport. It's just on a larger scale, and so you do feel like you're competing. So that was more my personal experience. But aside from sports, you can join like the university leadership teams and things like that. So there is opportunity. I just personally prefer the EY ones.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you again. So we are approaching the end. Thank you so much, everyone, for the questions that you put through. Some fantastic questions across many different topics. So we do appreciate your engagement here, and we can see the enthusiasm for EY and also the area you're joining. I think it's best, David, to end with you just on one final question before we wrap up, and is why, a bit of a broad question, but why EY generally, and why stay with EY? What are the aspects, given that you've had a few different stopping points along your journey?
I stayed for a whole variety of reasons. Just the breadth of opportunities to work on really interesting things in the market that I want to be in. So we work on things that are in the front page of the FT, are really shaping industries, and to have that opportunity is really cool. So I stay because of that. I stay because that's helped me to develop, to learn, to build a career. That's kept me here. I've stayed because of the people. I can't remember who it was that said earlier that everyone here is really nice. I mean, generally, I completely agree with that. I've got so many friends in EY, people that I enjoy spending time with when I work with them to solve client problems, but people I enjoy spending time with outside of work as well. So it's a combo of kind of opportunities to learn, to advise clients on really interesting stuff, and then to do that with people that you actually enjoy spending time with. Those are the reasons why I've stuck around.
Great. Well, I think that's a fantastic place to end. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to David for joining us. We do appreciate the time from all the attendees for taking the time out of your day to really learn more about EY, learn more about people that you could be sitting next to just a few months' time. When you do join, please don't be shy. Looking any one of us up, ask any questions you might have. EY is a very open organization, open door policy, so don't hesitate to put a meeting in, don't hesitate to send an email or a LinkedIn connection. We do thank you once again, and we wish you the best of luck for your career. Thank you so much, everyone.